Are you curious about how Capstone Leadership Solutions can help your small healthcare organization to improve and grow with more speed and ease? If so, reach out to us at capstoneleadership.net. There's a contact us page, or you can email us at info@capstoneleadership.net. We're here to help. When we get organized and we just start, the ripple is wide and it is fast. And as the definition of a movement shows, truly, it's so exciting to see people get energized and united with a high sense of purpose, because that's what a movement is, right? Uniting people around a purpose.
Welcome to Culture Change RX, the podcast for healthcare professionals that are committed to creating a thriving workplace culture, improving the experiences of employees and patients, and ultimately unlocking their organization's next level of potential. I'm Sue Tetzlaff, your host and co-founder of Capstone Leadership Solutions. Join me and my insightful guests each week as we share actionable insights for navigating the crucial people side of the business of healthcare. Subscribe now for a weekly dose of Culture Change RX. Now let's dive into this week's conversation where culture change takes center stage.
Hello, folks. Sue Tetzlaff here. Thanks for pressing play. And if I had a great singing voice, I would have started this episode with singing a Beatles clip here. You say you want a revolution. Well, you know we all want to change the world. I was reminded of this Beatles lyrics the other day when my grandson was playing at his spring piano concert. And while all the other children were playing very classical tunes, his love of the Beatles caused him to play a Beatles tune for his selection at the spring concert. And I'm glad his instructors let him go with that passion. So you say you want a revolution. Well, you know we all want to change the world. This reminded me as well of an event that we held years ago where we dug deep into the idea of starting a movement. So a movement means more than just that small incremental change or improvement or growth. It is big, is lasting, it is impactful. And it often starts with one person or one small group of people saying, let's do something different. I remember in my own healthcare organization when I was sitting around the executive table with my peers there, and we were in our strategic planning process yet again in our 3-year cycle. And I said these words, I'm not going to be on the leadership team that loses this important community asset. Let's do something different, not just a small tweak, not just an incremental change. We must do something different, big, lasting, impactful. And that day started a trajectory of change that improved and grew our community hospital in big and lasting ways. So are you sitting in an organization as a healthcare leader or executive where incremental change isn't going to do it, right? And it's time to start thinking differently about transformation, about starting a movement. And what movement will you start? These are legacy builders, right? These are legacy questions. What legacy do I want to leave? What movement do I want to start? So what is this revolution? What is this movement really that we want to start? Well, a movement is mobilizing people around a shared purpose, right? Our organizations in healthcare, we have missions, we have visions. They usually speak to big concepts like organizations that are trusted to deliver high quality, consistent, amazing care. So a movement is really mobilizing all of the people around that purpose. A movement could be called by other names, such as a wide scale, multifaceted initiative, a transformational change, a transformational journey. In the organizations that we partner with, healthcare organizations for big, wide, sweeping changes, such as a movement, we actually have them give it a name. So it does have its own unique name for that organization. And truly, a movement is the antidote to drifting through incremental change. And it truly is a change by design, not default. And again, it's big, it's lasting, and it's positively impactful. One of the CEOs that we worked with years ago on their transformational initiative for their organization, he would use this phrase a lot: hope is not a strategy. And movements don't happen accidentally. They are built, they are nurtured, and they are led. While I never planned it this way initially, those last 14 years of my career has really been all about the power of movements, the power of wide scale, big, sweeping changes in entire organizations. And there's these patterns I have started to see across these organizations, across these movements, is that when we get organized and we just start, the ripple is wide and it is fast. And as the definition of a movement shows, truly, it's so exciting to see people get energized and united with a high sense of purpose, because that's what a movement is, right? Uniting people around a purpose. It is so exciting. There's measurable improvements, but the palpable energy and the sense of oneness is so exciting to see time and time again. And it's just really part and parcel to the idea here that we are on a movement. We've started a movement. We are on a movement. And what I really love to see in each of the organizations that we work with, they might have so many things in common, right? Many of them are small rural hospitals, community hospitals. Many of them are in rural areas. They're alike in many ways. The approach they're using is similar in many ways, but I love to watch how they evolve, how it takes on its own life and its own ownership. I remember years ago when we had this healthcare executive forum all focused on starting movements. Some examples that we shared were some movements from years ago. The IHI had a movement called the 100,000 Lives campaign. You could probably Google it and learn about that campaign. And this was meant to be a big, lasting, and very impactful movement, again, called the 100,000 Lives campaign. Another movement that I recognized when I was doing work out in Arizona was Dignity Health, Hello Human Kindness movement. Again, Google it and check out how this one healthcare organization rallied around a movement for human kindness. Another one is Dove's Beauty campaigns. They have some very touching, big, lasting, and impactful movements around the meaning of beauty. None of these are examples of projects. Same thing with our partners and their initiatives. These aren't projects. These are revolutions in how people show up and do the work, right? Which is culture. This is how we do things around here. So, not just tweaking it in small, subtle ways, wanting incremental change, wanting incremental, small bits of improvement, but looking at big, lasting, impactful change that really changes the trajectory of an organization and its future from here on out. Those of you that follow our work closely, or maybe are partners of ours even, you'll recognize that some of the systems that we teach to, that we help and guide organizations to adopt, are systems that power a movement, such as the team system. This is how we team around here, about creating a volunteer army and organizing them and empowering them to make major contributions towards the movement. So again, a movement is about uniting people, engaging people, empowering people, exciting people around the purpose. As part of the change system, it's really critical to celebrate the first followers. It will take time, right? This is the long game. A lot can happen quick and fast, but it is a long-term initiative. A movement is a long-term commitment. And a crucial part is at the start when we celebrate those first followers, those first people to engage with the purpose, to engage with the cause and contribute to it. Again, you don't have to wait necessarily for that organically to be created, and it will, but you can intentionally create it through creating that volunteer army of employee-driven teams. Communication is also an important part of a successful movement. If nobody knows about the movement, hard for them to be a first follow or even consider engaging. So developing that regular rhythm or that communication cadence is so important to the movement not dying on the vine, right? So it has to be a long-term commitment to being consistent with daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly communication tactics and practices. And definitely a communication cadence is part of what we would say is part of the leadership system and also the team system and the change system and also the goal system. So the four main systems that our partner organizations embrace as part of their movement, communication is a component of all four systems. When it comes to what we call is the goal system or the achieve system, this speaks to data being an important part of a movement too. So when we make this big, bold move, when we initiate this transformation, what data is going to help us know where to focus our efforts and to measure the impact of our efforts. So again, being very intentional early in the start of a movement to start getting data savvy. Again, it can organically happen, but so get data savvy early. And lastly, a point to emphasize related to the idea of having a change system is that we don't give up. It is the infinite game. Expect resistance, expect noise, even negative noise, but stay the course. You might have to change it up a bit, but don't give it up. I love a quote from The Infinite Game, the book, The Infinite Game. It can look like failure in the middle, but keep going. And as we close out here today, there's one thing I definitely know for sure after all of these years working with dozens of healthcare organizations to start and elevate a movement is that movements don't start themselves. People do. Leaders do. So maybe you're considering how to activate your people, elevate your culture, and build something worth sustaining. And if you're wanting a free consultation in that regard, I am here for you. You can see a contact us page on our website, capstoneleadership.net, or you can email info@capstoneleadership.net. We'd be excited to explore with you how Capstone's movement building framework, formula, and four systems approach can support the achievement of your organization's mission and vision. If something inside you is saying it's time, take that as a sign. Let's talk. We'll help you turn that instinct into impact. Thanks for being here today, and tune in next week for another episode of Culture Change RX. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Culture Change RX. If you found value in today's episode and you are a believer in fostering change in healthcare, join us in making a difference. Follow, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite platform. Share it with colleagues and your network. Together, we can make a lasting impact. Until next week, keep inspiring positive change.